Previously on Divorce Court. How would you like me to refer to you?
Gabriela.
Mrs. Beach, you still see yourself as a wife, and Gabriela is becoming an individual.
Yes, Your Honor. When I first met Shawn, he was a man. We had a very healthy, good relationship, healthy sex life. After we got married, there was only one night that we actually had a connection.
A sexual encounter.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you expressed you could be attracted to men, and then you still ended up getting married. What happened?
I had an affair with the man. I've always been attracted to men my whole life. That's who I am.
Gabriela, why marry this woman until you had figured out what was going on with you?
When I married her, I felt closer to her because I had thought she supported me.
I feel like my husband checked out a long time ago.
I'm not sure that you actually ever had a husband. Gabriela, do you think maybe your wife was pushing back on a lifestyle that she was just not comfortable with? Can you help me to understand, and I need you to take some accountability here. You knew that you were in a state of flux as a human being, which, by the way, you are allowed to be who you are at whatever time, okay? Just live in your truth. But help me to understand why you brought this woman through that. If you knew that you were trying to figure out who you were, even if you couldn't articulate it, why would you put her in that?
We had all these kids together. We have a lot of things linked together, money and all that. I thought that we had to be together for the kids also, and I do value her friendship. I do love her. I always loved her.
But Mrs. Beach don't want to be married to a woman. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, okay. That does not make you transphobic. That just tells you I don't want an asexual marriage. That's what it is.
I married a man. I don't have no problem being a best friend to anybody. It's just, he basically said that, hey, we're not going to be a married couple anymore. We'll just basically be sisters. But I honestly feel like he just wanted to keep me for himself, because if I wanted to go out and find somebody else, man, woman, whatever, I could go and do that. Because I've been nothing but supportive, helping him, just standing by his side.
You got somebody to help you and be with you through this transition, and you were being selfish, and you wanted to make sure you maintain that. That's what this comes down to. You were. Because you didn't tell her, you didn't clue her in on what was going on.
A best friend would tell somebody something like that. That is not a best friend. That is not, at least not my version of a best friend.
I'll be honest, I've never been able to tell anybody until her.
I understand that.
Even though I told her a little late.
Gabriela, you are transitioning into a whole different human being. Do you expect this woman to accept that and stay in this marriage? That's really what it comes down to.
Well, I don't expect her to stay in the marriage, but we were friends before we even got together, so I feel like I'm hoping that we could save our friendship. We've been together a long time, and I just don't want to lose her.
More selfish.
Like, even if it's a friend or a girlfriend.
The problem that I'm having with this whole situation is he's my husband, I'm supposed to be his wife, and I don't know what his version of a friend is supposed to be, but I don't treat my friends that way.
But Mrs. Beach, I'm also going to say to you, these issues require therapy and the ability to talk through it. The fact that you all are doing it on your own, isolated in basements and in one corner and the other, is foreign to me, because these are very serious topics. And by the same token, Mr. Beach, Gabriela, Shawn, whatever you want to call him, was 100% wrong in not cluing you in. However, you have to take some responsibility for putting your head in the sand.
Yeah, that's just me always being supportive and just always wanting
When a
to put
man
myself
comes to you
last.
and say that he wants to start taking hormones to become a woman or to be more feminine, that is the ultimate red flag. That tells you I need to ask a follow-up question.
Well, I guess it's hard when you love somebody unconditionally.
And that's what we're talking about now. I asked Carolyn Tucker to come and join us virtually. So, Carolyn, will you please tell me what your background and experience is so that our litigants understand why I called you in today?
Yes, Your Honor. I am a licensed professional counselor in the state of Georgia. I deal with adolescents, young adults, couples, and lesbian and gay issues, LGBTQIA issues, and all of that under the overarching, I guess, specialty of anxiety and trauma.
And I think we are in the middle of trauma because we're having some serious family crises at this time. First thing I'd like you to say, Carolyn, and thank you for joining me, is what does it actually mean to be transgender? I think we need to educate ourselves, and I'd like both litigants as well as me and my courtroom team to understand what we're talking about.
When an individual identifies as being transgender, what they're saying is that they do not identify with the gender that they were assigned at birth. And this realization can happen as a very young child, and it can happen at midlife. Sometimes there's a sense of, something's just not right. I'm not comfortable with my body. Sometimes there's experimentation early on. But I think that a piece of this puzzle that we don't want to miss is that up to 30% of transgender people try to commit suicide.
And that's because they are not sure how to manifest those feelings in a way that is accepting to society. Am I correct?
Yes, how it's going to be received.
Exactly. I would really like you to speak to what I consider to be the core of the problem with this relationship.
If they were my clients, I would facilitate communication and help them do a better job of, maybe creating a space inside of which the truth is safe and comfortable. These facts coming to life little by little and slowly are really normal. In the same way that if a child gets caught doing something, you may not always get the whole story at first. This is such a primal issue that people will feel it out little by little as they're even adapting to it themselves, trying it on themselves.
But Carolyn, Mrs. Beach has every right to say that this is not a position that she wants to be in. Am I correct?
Absolutely. I have so much compassion for them both because this is profoundly difficult. And there was at least a lot of love and companionship between the two of them. That's something that I would like to hear more about, if we were to sit down together. What were the things that drew you to each other that had to do with the fact that you're a human being, not that you're a man or a woman?
I honestly want us both to be happy. I still would like to somehow be friends with her. And I want her to have the best life, and I want to have the best life myself.
Mrs. Beach, what about you?
I've got the divorce papers signed.
It's fair to say, Carolyn, that Gabriela is going to continue down whatever path will lead her to her one true self. But I would like you to make some concrete suggestions as to what the two of them can do, whether or not they stay on this path together or not.
I think that individual therapy would be of wonderful service to each of them. Figuring out, why didn't I ask the hard questions for Mrs. Beach? Or for Gabriela, what did I feel safe enough to say that was a little bit more direct? And, for each of them to be able to work on issues of identity and to identify if there's codependence, for instance, within the relationship that maybe prevented direct communication. There's a lot of work that could be done individually. And then as a couple, if they go forward, they certainly are going to have to work on communication. But if they separate, dismantling a family can use therapeutic support as well.
So I'm right in saying that we're talking individual therapy, couples therapy and family therapy, regardless of what the decision is with regard to their marriage.
Absolutely. I think it would probably be very helpful for the young people in the family to sit down with an objective party and to have somebody kind of walk them through what's going on with Gabriela, what's going on with my dad, who is my dad now, as Gabriela finds out. And I know that this is all kind of identity in progress. And to have support for the children, not just regarding, the issues surrounding transition, but also, potential divorce.
And Carolyn, I'm going to ask you as a expert for the court, would you be helpful in providing those services for this family for us?
If they are interested, certainly.
The court would like to suggest that we will provide you with some individual counseling, a session of couples counseling, and as importantly, a family therapy session so that you can address all of the issues that this change of circumstances in your life has brought to you. Gabriela, would you be interested in accepting that?
Yes, I would, Your Honor. I honestly want us both to be happy. I still would like to somehow be friends with her. And I want her to have the best life, and I want to have the best life myself. Yes, I would accept.
Mrs. Beach, what about you?
I've got the divorce papers signed. I've been lied to so many times. I mean, I feel like there's there's no trust.
And there's no question you are valid in that belief. None whatsoever. I need to validate your feelings. I don't want you to think for any minute that you don't have a right to feel that way. But no matter what you decide, and I will review those papers, I will serve those papers if you want me to. But your family is still going to need some assistance in dismantling this relationship. There is no question about that because you have young children.
Wow.
And those children are going to want to know who their parents are. Carolyn, I thank you so very much. You have the court's appreciation on helping us to understand these issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mrs. Beach, you're telling me very clearly your husband misled you and you are not interested in being in a marriage with that as the foundation because there is no marriage.
There's no marriage.
Would you like me to serve the papers now or make your own determination? If you'd like your case to be heard on divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com. Missed a show? Watch full episodes on our streaming platforms and follow us on social media for exclusive content. Mrs. Beach, you're telling me very clearly your husband misled you and has gone down a path that does not include you. And you are not interested in being in a marriage with that as the foundation because there is no marriage.
That's not a marriage. There's no marriage.
I completely understand, 100%. Would you like me to review the papers? Thank you. So, Mrs. Beach, you have signed the beginnings of a divorce proceeding. Should I serve these papers today, you can take the papers to a court of law in Ohio to start the process of divorce. Is that what you want, ma'am?
I just feel like we need to do a lot of talking. There's just too much on the plate here to just say, hey, I walk one way, you walk the other way.
That's what I suggested to you just a couple of minutes ago. Because you have to answer a bunch of questions for yourself that have zero to do with him. Because there's clearly something that was going on with you that made you put your head in the sand. And you need to figure that out for yourself so that if this relationship works or if the next relationship works, you can be a whole human being going into that. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
This is about you. This is not about Gabriela, Shawn, Mr. Beach, anybody. It is simply about Shannon. Shannon has to become her own individual.
I think the problem is like every time like I try to like say anything or express myself, oh, I'm getting angry or I'm gonna get violent or
No.
or I'm this or that,
she's more
or
like dominant than
I'm
me, her
hyper.
personality.
Yeah, I'm dominant because you don't
and
do nothing. You don't take charge of anything. We have teenage boys
I could
in our
end up
home.
getting in a lot of trouble. I don't really know how to take charge sometimes.
You just do it.
You know,
You're not a parent.
but Shannon, you are trying to alter somebody after you've taken them to the altar. Doesn't work like that.
I know, but I 100% feel like I totally should have been told everything before we were married.
Well, I can legitimately tell you that there is never a time that everybody tells everything. Folk always leave some stuff out. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, Shawn, Gabriela left out some very important things. But again, you had the ability to ask questions. You chose not to ask the critical questions, and I sincerely believe that with some assistance, you can unlock why. It's not all about what Gabriela did or Shawn did not do. It's what Shannon allowed to be done. Shannon must determine why. And at this point, it's not about a conversation with me. It's really about a conversation with yourself. So I am offering you the ability to have some time to learn the answer to that question. You still can file for divorce because it's clear that if this is not the marriage you want, then this is not the marriage you should be into. Again, would you like me to serve the papers now or return them to you so that you can make your own determination?
Just return them to me now and I'll make the determination. If I could just add one more thing. When you said I had my head in the sand, I didn't actually have my head in the sand. I've tried to communicate, but he always tells me I'm trying to talk over him, or I'm always not listening, or I'm always stressing him out, or whatever. Anything that has to do with me, like saying anything. I'm not in a competition with him as far as like he works hard, but I work hard too. Why should his merit be worth more than my merit, or vice versa? Why does one have to be better than the other? We're not in competition.
Mrs. Beach, you're really, honestly, Mrs. Beach, you're talking about literally surface problems. You're not talking about the core of the problem. Y'all are not in a real relationship right now. That's really the core of the problem. Neither one of you have been completely honest with each other, okay? Mr. Beach, Gabriela has only shared one portion of who she is or isn't or is trying to become. And you've ignored the warning signs. And you keep coming back again and again on what he hasn't done, or he doesn't provide, or he's only concerned about himself, or he's being selfish. All of that can be true. But if, in fact, that's not what you want, as a grown, mature woman, you know exactly what you can do to walk away. You have the ability to walk away, but you stay for a reason. You put up for it with a reason. I love you. You make this decision. I asked you if you wanted me to serve those papers. You asked me to return them. There's a reason behind that. I suggest to you, you find that out. And that right there will be the answer to those questions. I wish you the very best. I want you to spend some time in therapy so that you can learn to express yourself, so that you don't take others on this path that don't want to go on it. That's not fair. It's unfair, and it's fair for you to want to know who you are and to be your authentic self, but authenticity starts with being honest. Thank you very much. That's as real as it gets. There are many issues and many layers to that case.
The biggest red flag is you weren't 100% truthful with what you really wanted to do.
Neither party was.
No.
I think these are issues that families face all the time, but they will need some assistance in navigating these paths forward, and it's not going to be easy.
Absolutely not. I wish them a lot of luck.
Since our appearance in court, we've made some definite progress in our relationship.
Yeah, what I learned is I can't just focus on myself. I have to focus on my wife in order to make our marriage work. And we just want to say thank you, Judge Starr.
Made in Georgia.